Hi everyone, welcome to Eye of the East Coast. My name is Kalina. Today we have Angel. Welcome to Eye of the East Coast, Angel.
Hi.
For our listeners, can you introduce yourself and explain what you do?
Sure. I'm a small business owner in Halifax, Nova Scotia. My business name is Angels Essentials, and we offer a variety of services to help people reach their optimal state of wellness and well-being.
And how did you get into your journey?
I've always really been interested in alternative healing modalities my entire life. Actually, I think it started when I was really small. My mom was sick. She had various illnesses, and I just didn't have any faith in the Western approach. I didn't find that anything really helped her, and so I was always looking for different ways to help her and doing research from a really, really young age. So for me, even art making, that to me is included in healing modalities. I also use that a lot in my work, and anything that just really interests me, I kind of follow my heart in that way. And I've learned, I've become an aromatherapist, and I've studied craniosacral therapy and counseling, and of course the angel cards. That's one of my favorite tools that I use to help people, and really interested in pretty much anything that helps people. And so I like meeting people and learning about what they're doing, and finding out all the different varieties out there to help people feel better in this world, basically.
With art therapy, can you explain to our listeners what that is?
Sure. Right now I'm starting a master's degree with a specialization in art therapy, so it's a master's degree in counseling. And basically, you use creation, so you can be a painter or a photographer to help you express maybe some feelings or difficult memories. You use art making to help release those feelings, and just to help you express yourself and maybe understand what you're feeling, because sometimes a lot of people don't even know what they're feeling or why they're feeling what they're feeling, or they're kind of, I guess, detached from their emotions. So it's a way to reconnect to yourself and to discover, I guess, what's wrong. Sometimes, myself, I'll make a painting and it's just completely intuitive. I'm not really going through a series of studies to make a painting. I'll just go right into the work, and then I'll see things. It's kind of like an abstract piece, and I'll see things in it that help me understand what I was feeling at that time, or why I was feeling that way, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. For our listeners, how can they, if they want to explore that, how can they start?
They can start, I like to recommend, to start really easy. Just grab a pair of scissors, grab some old magazines, and, do a portrait of yourself by just going through magazines and picking out and cutting out things that you like, and just making a collage. So grabbing imagery that you're drawn to or that you really like, and just, stick them all together kind of like a puzzle piece, and you'll be surprised. I mean, it doesn't take, you don't have to have a fine art degree to do something like that. And it can be a lot of fun, and a lot of people get surprised, like my students that I teach art to become really surprised by the creations that they can make when they don't worry so much about the end result. Because I feel like just from all the art classes I've taught, a lot of people kind of put a barrier because they think, well, I'm not an artist, I'm not that good at it, so they don't do it. But that's not really what art making should be about. I mean, of course, we all love to see beautiful art, but for me, art making isn't just always about beauty. It's about just expressing yourself, and sometimes our feelings aren't beautiful, So just getting them out and helping yourself feel better in a positive, constructive way.
When, for our listeners, when should they do that? Should they do it if they're in a stressful time in their lives, or?
They can, or they can just do it when they're happy. like I said, usually when you're in a good space, you create beautiful work. That's not always the case, of course, but when you're in a terrible space, the work might look and reflect that. So for me, I express myself whenever I feel like it. I always just follow my feelings. So if I feel like it, then I'll do it. But sometimes you do have to push yourself. Like if you're depressed, for example, you don't feel like doing anything. Nothing really motivates you, nothing really stimulates you, you're just kind of blah. So in those cases, you do have, you might have to push yourself to make art. And that's what happens to me. Like if I get depressed or I don't feel like doing it, but when I do that, during that time, I definitely feel better. It helps me feel better. And that's just me. Like everybody has their own thing. Like my brother's a musician, so he'll, play music that's his form of therapy. So everybody has their own form of therapy, I think. And some people might not know what that is, and sometimes it changes over time, and as it has for myself. It's always evolving and changing. Like at times I'll just use all the essential oils to feel better and use that as my therapy and kind of drop the art for a while, or you know what I mean? It just kind of evolves.
Can you explain to listeners what aromatherapy is?
Sure. Aromatherapy is the use of essential oils. So essential oils are extracted from either plants or trees or flowers, sometimes fruit. And so the essence of those plants, trees, flowers, fruit is distilled, or there's different types of ways of making the oil, and it's a safer way of getting a scent. Like a lot of people have this anti-scent kind of mentality, but what most people don't understand is that perfumes, or the scents that really bother people, the synthetic scents, they're made in a lab, and they're made to smell like a lemon or smell like a jasmine flower, but the molecules are a lot larger than the real deal, and that's why they irritate our nose when we smell them. But essential oils don't really do that. They're a lot more safe, user-friendly, and safe if used properly, of course. Like I've seen a lot of people just put them directly on your skin, which you should absolutely never do. They should always be put in with a carrier oil and a certain amount of drops and all that kind of stuff. But it's used as therapies. Different plants, different scents have different effects on the body. And they have a general effect on the body, but they also, different people, they affect them differently. So, for example, the smell of orange really uplifts somebody's spirits, but some people, I have never met this person, but some people might not like that smell, might not agree with them.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're basically used in different ways. Like I use them personally, like in the shower. I'll make my own shower gels, or put in the skin cream. You can make your own skin creams if you just get a base cream and then add them to that. You can just put them on a candle and let the room smell nice or create an atmosphere, that kind of a thing. So they can be used differently. You can even put them in your car. There's little tiny things you can stick in your cigarette lighter thingy or whatever, and make your car smell kind of nice while you're driving. So I have like a road rage blend that I make for myself, because I tend to get a little bit of road rage sometimes, so it kind of takes the edge off while I'm driving.
So what would be like an example, like what would be a mix of aromatherapy for that?
Petitgrain is really good for that. Petitgrain and lime, that's what I use, or petitgrain and lang lang, even if you're feeling that your road rage is due to hormonal issues, because certain times of the month I get a little bit more road rage than other times. So I'll mix it with lang lang, which is a good hormonal balancer.
Mm-hmm.
The petitgrain just takes that irritability off. It doesn't smell nice. It's not like a really nice scent. It's definitely not pretty, but it's effective. So that's something people don't understand as well. They think that all essential oils should smell like perfume. But, patchouli and different things, which is debatable. Some people like the smell of patchouli. I personally do not. But it has a purpose. So it's a little bit different than a perfume, which you're just putting on to smell pretty, The essential oils are more therapeutic and used therapeutically.
And I want to talk a little bit about, because you have a fair coming up, and just for our listeners to know about that, and how did that get started?
Sure, yeah. I'm really excited about this fair. It's coming up next weekend, and we have a launch concert as well that's happening on the 5th, where I'll be doing live painting for the first time ever. So that's kind of really exciting, live Angelic Realm Painting. And there'll be a psychic medium, Alan Hatfield, and Lana Grant, who's the organizer of this event. She's the MC and the singer-songwriter. And we chose 5 East Coast artists. There was like a contest, and they were chosen. And so that's a launch concert. Anybody that pays to get into that will get into the Spirit Expo free. So that's 2 days, the 7th and the 8th, running from 10 to 5, both days. And I have right now almost 80 vendors, which I'm so excited about. And there's just so many different people, and just people that have just found me. There's people from Newfoundland, people from Toronto that are coming, people from Moncton, people from everywhere doing everything. There's the acupuncture college that's going to be there doing demos, reflexology demos, I believe, and massage therapy demos. And there's just so many people. There's a whole list on the website. I still haven't uploaded everybody because I've just got a lot of people in the last few days, and I'm still trying to stay on top of all of that. But where it started was actually 2008. I had gotten guidance to do this. I just wasn't ready, and I don't know, I just kept finding barriers to making it happen. And then last year, I just was it was so strong every year to do it from 2008 on, but I just wasn't in the right space. I was working a full-time job, and I just kept finding barriers. Anyways, I followed the guidance finally last year, and I did it, and that was really successful. And then I really just loved organizing it, and it amazed me the people that were in the show. Some of the emails you get, oh, I do this and I do this, and things I had never even heard of. One of the things with sound therapy, I wasn't really familiar with that. And so I had a lot of sound therapists last year, the sound beings, and then Myomi Endo, and she was selling Tibetan bowls, and there was just so many sound therapists. And anyways, I just thought it was amazing. There's so many amazing people, and of course, I can't remember their names. The Shamanistic Sound, they were there. I think that's their name. Anyways, it was just a great show, and I was really excited to do it again this year, and I wanted to make it even better and bring more people. I had over 200 people last year, but I felt like I could have done better. I could have brought more people, and I really thought long and hard about it, and just received so much guidance of ways to get people out, to make it more attractive, to see how I could bring people. And so I did all these different things with tickets, the vendors consulting and keep all the money, so that encourages them to help bring people, and also helps them save some money on their table and offset their costs. And just different locations in Halifax have been supporting the initiative, and they're selling advanced tickets since March, the Healthy Bug and Casa Roma Wellness Center, and Sarah Spiritual Treasures, and Phyllis LaForest out in Enfield, and the Boys and Girls Club in Spryfield, and Angel Hall. All of them have been selling tickets and for their favorite charities, which is kind of cool. Feed Nova Scotia is benefiting, and a couple of animal hospitals are also going to be benefiting. And then the show itself has 3 causes that we're raising money for, which is Hope for Wildlife Society, the World Wildlife Fund, and the Ecology Action Center. So each vendor on their application indicated whether they wanted to give to those charities because they're selling advance tickets and keeping the money, they can give to one of those 3 charities, or some of them have indicated what charity they want. They're going to give some of their money that they raise to. So it's just like everybody's giving to somebody else, which I really liked. I like that idea. Just last year I kind of did something similar to that with the coffee. I had a coffee donation for World Wildlife Fund. But I felt like I could do better. Like, there wasn't really, I didn't raise like a huge amount. I think I raised like $70 or something. Something like that. But I wanted to do more. So I sat on it for a year and just played around with different ideas, and I like the way that this is working.
No, I think that's great. I also want to talk a bit about AngelSkyeTV, if you can tell the listeners what that's about.
Oh, okay. Well, actually, I got the idea for AngelSkyeTV from you. I won a free reading with you, and you had reminded me of something I've always wanted to do, and that's why I always love getting readings from you. You really know how to pull out the things that kind of you bury really deep inside sometimes because life gets in the way and you get distracted by whatever. Anyways, I had always wanted to do a talk show since I was since talk shows became really popular in the 80s, I think it was. So I always imagined myself being on a talk show and how I would do it differently. And so this was just kind of like a fantasy, I guess. And I kind of played around with it when I was in art school a bit. I took a lot of sound classes and I interviewed people, and I was on a radio station at that time, and I did a show at the Aaliyah Owens Gallery where I kind of did interviews with different artists at that time, and I really just loved it. And actually when I was a kid, I used to walk around with a tape recorder and record people.
Oh, really?
And,
that's interesting.
And yeah, do interviews. I literally was 4 or 5 years old, and I used to do this. This old school cassette player, playback kind of thing. And I don't know, I've always liked doing that. So you reminded me of that the day I talked to you, and I didn't know how to go about it. I kind of, again, made it too complicated, overthought it a bit. And I was thinking, you had to basically get on TV somehow, and I have a toddler right now, so anything seems like a barrier in terms of networking, like getting out in the world. You can't always take her to TV stations and whatever. Anyways, so then I was like, well, why don't I just start a YouTube channel and interview people, because when I'm at shows and stuff like that, I can just pull them aside and do an interview. So that's exactly what I've done. I have over 20 interviews already. I'm still figuring out the technology. I have a Mac, and my video camera isn't compatible with that, so I had to find another computer. And anyway, so I finally uploaded my first YouTube interview a couple days ago with Dr. Joel Wallach, who is absolutely amazing. I had never met him. That was the first time I ever really talked to him. I was invited to his show, the Ancient Healing Show, in April, and he's an amazing man, absolutely amazing. And I've actually watched the interview more than once, which I know is kind of weird, but I love what he says, and just the whole interview, I really liked it. And so that's what AngelSkyeTV is about. I'm interviewing people I find interesting, and, it can be anybody. It doesn't have to be the big, obviously I'd love to interview Doreen Virtue or people like that, but just people in general, because I just find people interesting, and I always have, and people that you don't really know have so many things to say, and their lives are amazing. So if something weird happens when the camera goes on them, they talk more than they would talk if you were just talking to them. That makes sense. So, yeah, I have to figure out, again, how to edit. How to edit these videos, and, it's a pretty low-key operation at this point, but I can see it growing in the future, and eventually it'd be great, if I was picked up by a television station, and every interview gets better. I watch it and I think, okay, I'd do this better, or do this, or not do this, or, it's going to grow like everything over time and change and evolve, and yeah, so I have a list of people I want to talk to, and it's just a matter of the right timing and when that happens. You being one of them, I definitely want to interview you. I've read your book, and I just think you're super interesting. So
thank you. I'm excited. I can't wait. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Now, for our listeners, so how on YouTube, how can they find you?
Okay, so I think they just have to type in AngelSkyeTV and it'll come up.
Okay.
That's pretty much, I think that is all they have to do. AngelSkyeTV, all one word.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll come up, yeah.
Awesome. Now, and for our listeners, because where you do readings, how can they get a hold of you if they want a reading with you?
They can either go through my website, which is essentials.com, or they can call me on my business line, which is 902-229-6623. And yeah, I absolutely love doing readings. That's pretty much that, and teaching yoga are my absolute favorite things to do in the world. Well, in painting, I guess I have a lot of favorite things, but I really, really, really love doing readings. I just find, when you're working with the angels and when you're working with your guides, like, amazing things happen. And I definitely see the results with my clients. Like, they're happier when they leave or they learn something. And I know that, teaching people that to connect with their intuition is something that I'm really passionate about, because I just feel like, that's something we're not really taught in school, and I don't understand why we're not, because
I agree with you there.
It's something we need to know. It's our birthright to be connected, and I think that a lot of people are miserable because they're not connected with their self, and they're not connected with their spirit,
I agree with you. Thank you so much, Angel, for coming on.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate